Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. We're going to be doing more Leetcode on another easy length of last word. So this one should be pretty straightforward, I believe. So let's just get right into it. So you are given a string S consisting of words and spaces. Return the length of the last word in the string. So a word is a maximal substring consisting of non-space characters only. So as a note here, a substring is a contiguous, non-empty sequence of characters within a string. So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just making sure you know that. So, what we're trying to do is get the length of the last word in the string. So, example 1, we have input S, hello world. The last string or substring or last word in this string is world. And the length of world is what? It's 5 letters. So the output is 5. So we're just getting the length of the last word in the string. So example 2 here. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. We have fly me to the moon, but there's a bunch of spaces in the between. Even at the end, there's spaces. But you still have to, the last word here is moon. So the length of moon is 4. So you still have to return the length of the last word. So that is what makes this problem a little tricky, but it's still pretty straightforward. So that's the thing. A strings can have trailing spaces in this. Some test cases can have trailing spaces, as you can see here, right here after moon, the last word. So we can do this in 2 phases. So 1, we have to skip the trailing spaces, and 2, we have to count the characters until we hit a space, meaning like the start of the last word. So let me just explain it even more now. So we want the last word, right? Let's just start at the last index. So we're gonna loop through the string reversed, starting from the last index. So we can just check, start from the last index and move left. And while we're on a space or a like non-alphanumeric character, because a space is a non-alphanumeric character, just keep going until you hit a alphanumeric character. If you hit an alphanumeric character, then you can increment by 1. Let's have a counter for the length. So we'll have a length variable. That will be 0, obviously. And then we'll start at the end of the array. And you can see fly me to the moon here. Let's just draw that out. Fly me to the moon. And then we have a space here. Let's say we have like 2 spaces here, and like obviously doesn't matter over here, but we have like 2 spaces after moon, after the string. So we start at the end of the array, and we check. We go first one, it's a space. It's not alphanumeric. Okay, go next. It's another space. It's non-alphanumeric character. Python lets us check if something in a string or element in a string is a alphanumeric character. If it isn't, just keep going until you hit n, which is an alphanumeric character, n. And then you can increment the length or a counter by 1. And then you just keep going. And then when length is more than 1, so now you must be wondering, how do we like stop? How do we just stop it from like going? So we'll have another if statement. If length is more than 0, that means we have hit our last word. And then in that if statement, we can just say, okay, now that we've hit our word, the next non-alphanumeric character or the next space we hit, return the length. That means we have gotten the length of our last word. The last word is ended because we have hit a non-alphanumeric character or a space. So this works because trailing spaces don't matter because we just skip them. And once we hit the first character of the last word, we count until a space ends that word. So we never need extra memory, just an index and a counter. So the time is big O of n, and the space is constant time big O of 1. So now let's go and implement this into code here. I can better explain it there. So let's go right here. So now, like I said, let's have a variable length. We'll store the length of our last word. It's kind of a counter that will return at the end. And then let's just simply loop through the array in reverse, starting at the end. So for I in range length of s string s -1 decrementer -1. They'll go one character at a time backwards. And then now, like I said, we want to skip all non-alphanumeric. We want to skip all the spaces. So we have an if statement, if si is num. This is a function in Python that returns a boolean true or false if a element in a string is a alphanumeric character or not. So this is pretty helpful in this case. So if this is true, then we've hit our last word. So then we start incrementing our length by 1. I cannot type. Oh my god. And then, like I said before, how do you know when to stop? Because we just want the last word, length of the last word. How do we like stop it from just keeping on going through the string after we've hit the last word? So that's where we have a second if statement. So if the length is more than 0, like I said, that means we've hit our last word. So then from then on, we have to also check if we hit a space. So if not s at index I num. So this will check if we hit something, if we hit an element in the string that is not an alphanumeric character or a space, then we know that the last word has ended. The space indicates the start of the word. So then we can just return the length. That means we've got the length of our last word right there. And then obviously we should just return length at the end. Anyways, and then if we run this should work. Yep, and there you go.